Everybody, and welcome back to the channel and to the Ultimate Racing League, sponsored by Dubby.gg, the energy drink for gamers, and also Eldridge Air Conditioning. We are here with the on our Sunday league, the most popular league throughout the Ultimate Racing League. We are at week 4, and we are in Austria, in Spielberg, Austria, at the Red Bull Ring. Not my favourite track, but I know a lot of people do enjoy it. A little bit more about the track later. Just about the race, we've got 2 races for you. The first one, as you can see, is 16 laps around here. This is the League 4. Sorry, I should have said we're with the League 4 guys. They're all in the Honda NSX, the GR4. So it's all a one make race. Now, as I say, we are at Spielberg in Austria. We're at the Red Bull Ring. 2.6 miles. There are 10 turns. I like to call it the big penalty zone, because this track is absolutely littered with them. It just seems like every corner you are picking up penalties. There's only 10 turns, but every one is fraught with danger, and I think this race will depend on penalties, really. So we shall see how these guys get on. We're going to get straight into it. Sorry, I've put paper everywhere this morning. We're going to get straight into it. So we'll have a rundown of the grid. So out on pole position, this is after qualifying. So out on pole position is Wayne G. Then we've got Scott sitting in second, just behind. Frowny in third. Fourth on the grid is Big Dan. He's had some great results, hasn't he, just lately, Big Dan. Fifth is Harry Poppins. Then we've got Bazza in 6th. Aussie Rooster is 7th. Enzo Jack is 8th. Pete is 9th. Then we've got a newcomer to League 4, Phaser. Great to see him in the Lucky Strike team as well, which is my team. So no favouritism there, I can assure you. Well, maybe just a little bit, eh? But yeah, so welcome to Phaser to League 4. Looking forward to see how you get on. In 11th, then we have Molepiece. In 12th, we have DB. 13th is Captain Slow. 14th is Ninky Noo, still my favourite nickname, Ninky Noo. No livery on there, is it? No, I don't think he has. No. So it does this occasionally, the game. It likes to glitch, and it doesn't put any livery or anything on, but I'm sure that'll be sorted for race 2. And then in 15th, in the second Lucky Strike, is Hoppers. So that is the grid lineup for race 1. So let's get this race underway, shall we? So as I say, 16 laps. It is well, it's supposed to be dawn, but obviously it looks like the sun's already come up for these guys as we head down towards turn 1. Turn 1, incidentally, is called Nicky Lauda Curve, after the famous F1 driver. So through Nicky Lauda Curve they go. Very tricky turn, that one. It's uphill, bit of a camber. It's a tight right-hander. Then up through turn 2, which is more just a bit of a bend in the road. Just, oh, what was going on there? It looks like Scott and Frowny are having a bit of a fight as they go up to turn 3, which is called Remus. And Scott managing to hold on to second, as Frowny tries to apply the pressure. Big Dan still sitting in 4th as they go down the hill towards Schlossgold, which is turn 4. Another very tricky turn. Very easy to drift too far to the left and end up in the gravel. Oh, and Enzo Jack has had a bit of a moment there. He's managed to recover and get back on track, but that has knocked him down to 11th. So Enzo Jack's gone from 8th to 11th, but a mistake from him. Hoppers has moved up to 12th, so Molepiece in 13th with Captain Slow and Bazza. Wow, what's happening to Bazza? Let's just go back and well, I'm not sure what's happening with Bazza. I've had to go right back to the very beginning. Let's just have a look so we can see the inputs. He's only got, well, I'm not sure what's going on. I was going to say he's got problems with throttle. He's not moving very quickly at all. Everybody's flying by him as we got to turn one. Oh, I can only guess that poor old Bazza has had a bit of a disconnect and has got absolutely no control over that car whatsoever. So that is, yeah, that's not like Bazza to be driving around like that. That is so unfortunate. So unlucky for Bazza. We'll leave him to get himself sorted out as we start now back up to follow Wayne G as we go around turn 6 and 7. Scott wobbling around in P2 with Frowny in 3rd, Big Dan 4th, Aussie Rooster 5th, then Harry Poppins, Pete, then Phaser, excuse me, DB in 9th, Ninky Noo 10th, Enzo Jack 11th, Hoppers, Malpeas, Captain Slow, and then Bazar, who it looks like may have retired. He is just sat on well, it looked like the start finish line, although we had the yellow flag up, so I'm not quite sure where he stopped. But Wayne G still leading. We're on lap 2 as we head up towards turn 3, Remus for the second time. Then Scott still in 2nd, still under a lot of pressure from Frowny. Frowny makes a look up the inside. Is he going to get that done? Scott still just got his nose ahead slightly as we go down the hill towards turn 4. Scott just in front, but Frowny has got the inside line, and Big Danny's just sitting there waiting to follow one of these guys through. Frowny trying to keep it nice and tight through the inside line. Great racing between the two of them. Scott wobbling around a little bit, but it's all clean so far. Scott dives to the outside of Frowny. Frowny still in 2nd position though. Big Dan in 4th as they head down towards turn 7, which is Worth Curve. Fantastic racing between these guys. Frowny has got in front of Scott, so Frowny now in 2nd. Big Dan just hovering around in 4th. Some fantastic racing from these guys as they go through one of the big penalty zones, turn 10, which is Red Bull Mobile. Excuse me again. Let's just have a quick run down the order as these guys approach turn 1. Oh dear, you have to excuse me, I'm frogging my throat this morning. So Aussie Rooster in 5th, so while the guys up ahead are battling away, and it looks like Frowny and Scott are at it again. Scott managing to get in front of Frowny on the straight up towards turn 3, and Frowny has another look up the inside, but I think Scott has managed to see that one off, and he has. So Scott back into 2nd position. Frowny drops into 3rd, Big Dan in 4th, then Aussie Rooster, Harry Poppins. Not a lot between the top 7 at the minute. Well, even the top 8. Phaser's still there. It's just hanging on to the coattails of these guys in front of him. So well done to Phaser, sticking in there. Ninky Noo now, a bit of a gap back to Ninky Noo, and we've had somebody go off. Oh, and it's Frowny. Whoa, what's happened to Frowny? He was having a fantastic fight with Scott. We can see Big Dan at the back there now. We're just coming up to turn 4, which is Schloss Gold. Oh, and he's just not. Whoa. You know what? I'm going to go back and have another look at that, and we'll have a look at the inputs, because it just doesn't seem like he could get the brakes applied quick enough, or at all, actually. Well, I'm not quite sure what's happened with Frowny there. I mean, that has got to be a disconnect, because there was just no braking input whatsoever as we approached turn 4, so that can only be a disconnect for Frowny, which is so unlucky. That's 2 in the first, 3 laps, isn't it? Well, this race already shaping up to be a bit of an incident one, isn't it? So Wayne G out in front now on his own, with Scott in second where he was before, but a little way back, a few car lengths. Then we've got Big Dan has now moved up into third. We've got Aussie Rooster in fourth. He's coming under attack from Harry Poppins. In fact, let's go on board with Harry Poppins in fifth at the minute. We've got Pete just behind it in sixth. As we come up to turn one, Nicky Lauder curve, trying to keep it as tight as you can to that inside apex. You don't want to go too far to the left, otherwise you get a penalty. And these guys doing remarkably well, actually, considering this is one big penalty zone. As Harry Poppins makes the move on Aussie Rooster, Harry Poppins goes onto the inside into turn three. Got to keep it nice and tight, and gets the move done. Fantastic move from Harry Poppins to go up into fourth. Aussie Rooster drops to fifth with Pete in sixth. Down the hill to turn four. Like I say, very tricky turn this one, very easy to go over there onto the gravel and get caught. But Harry Poppins making it look easy. In fourth then, Aussie Rooster fifth, then Pete. Phaser in seventh. So the top seven guys seem to be just breaking away now. Enzo Jack has got a bit of catching up to do after his incident in I think it was the end of lap one, lap two, I can't remember now. So Enzo Jack trying to make his way back up and catch up to the back of the front seven. Ninky New having a good race so far in ninth. Pity about the livery, but that's not his fault, I'm sure. That's a game glitch. Hoppers in 10th. Made up 5 places so far as Hoppers, so well done to him. Molepiece in 11th. Captain Slow 12th with Bazza back up and running again now. Unfortunately all the way down in 13th. We have had a retirement. Well, we've had two, haven't we? I think we started with 15th. We did. So we've had 2 retirements, unfortunately. Frowny being one of them. So back up to Wayne G. On lap 5, down towards Schloss Gold. Hard on the brakes to take this right-hander. Nicking as much curb as you can on the left. Got in second. Everybody settling down a bit now. Big Dan in third. I mentioned at the beginning, Big Dan's had some good results the last few weeks. So it's no surprise he's up there in the top 3. Harry Poppins in fourth. We've just watched him make a great move on Aussie Rooster to get himself into that fourth position. He's now got Big Dan in his sights, so he can get himself on the podium. Aussie Rooster in fifth. Pete in sixth. Everybody definitely just spaced out now with Phaser in seventh. As I say, this is Phaser's first race in the League 4, and welcome to him. It was a bit of a late call up. We've had to have somebody who's dropped out and unable to finish the season, so Phaser stepped in as first reserve and got himself in there, so well done to him. So it's great to see him on track. Enzo Jack having a bit of a lonely race now. There's another one without the livery, I think, as well. So Enzo Jack in 8th, managed to pull away from Ninky New and desperately trying to catch up to the back of Phaser. He can see them. Phaser's picked up a penalty. I think it's the first one. I'm not sure. Well, it's the first one we've seen anyway. As I say, this is one big penalty zone. Turn 10 seems to be one of the biggest traps, and turn 1. But these guys seem to be coping quite well with it, so maybe it's just me that picked up lots of penalties. No, Hoppers has got one as well. So Ninky New in 9th, Hopper's in 10th, he's got a half-second penalty. Now the penalty zone is just before we get to, well, it's just around about turn 8, just before we get to turn 7. You can just see the penalty bar start to fill up on Hopper's car, and there we go, bang, penalty served, and we're off and running again. Into turn 9, which is Rint. I'm not Austrian, so I'm probably pronouncing that completely wrong. So Hopper's back onto the start finish straight then, and across the line to start lap 7. Maltese in 11th, Captain Slow 12, very lonely race for Captain Slow, and Bazza, after the disconnect he had right at the very beginning, is way down in 13th, probably given this one up already, but getting a bit of practice in for race 2. So fastest lap so far is Scott on a 1:37.1, currently in second, and he's now right on the back of Wayne G. Still wobbling around is Scott. I've mentioned it before, it's probably a loose wheel nut, or it could be internet issues, we're not sure, only Scott will know. But let's jump on board with Scott, and if the glitching carries on and sends your eyes funny, then we're not going to stay in the car long, so apologies for that, Scott, but I'm sure you understand as he tries to chase Wayne G down, heading towards turn 9. No real pressure from behind into turn 9. You don't want to drift too far to the left, because that is a penalty if you cross that the red and white curb, and the same here. You don't want to go out too far to the left, and Scott and Wayne G make it look all very easy. Scott right in the slipstream now as he tucks underneath that rear wing of Wayne G up towards turn 1 and Nicky Lauda curve. Ooh. Oh no, that might have been a bit of a glitch as well, a bit of a lag. But Scott still sitting in the slipstream of Wayne G, just not quite close enough, is he, to make a move. You can see the bit of a wobble going on. We'll have to jump out of the car in a minute. Oh, now again, I don't think there was a touch there. It was just the, oh, what a fantastic exit that Scott got there to put the challenge in. In fact, I'm going to go back and have another look at that as we go up the hill. And this was all about the exit. You can see Scott having a look around the outside, goes for the cutback, and just got a fantastic drive out of turn 3, which then sent him down the hill. He got the momentum to get his nose in front. Wayne G picks up a half-second penalty, and Scott gets his nose in front as they head down towards turn 4. Wayne G having to go the long way round, maybe looking at the cutback himself. That lag obviously going to make it very difficult for Wayne G to get by Scott. But Wayne G will have to serve that penalty, and Big Dan could well step up and take that second position away from him. You can see the bar starting to fill up now. So Wayne G, he will be cursing. Now Big Dan needs to get a little bit closer to Wayne G. Let's go on board with Big Dan. You can see Wayne G pulls to the right, serves his penalty, and he's back on the racing line again and up to speed. So Big Dan wasn't quite close enough, was he? As we go through turn 10 and back onto the start finish straight to start, oh well, cross the start finish line first, before we start lap 9. So it is Scott, Wayne G, Big Dan. Then we've got Harry Poppins just sitting in the distance there, up through turn 1. No real change here. Aussie Rooster in 5th, Pete 6th, Phaser 7th. Oh, Phaser now with a 1 second penalty. So Phaser really picking up the penalties as we go along. Now let's have a look. Is that going to change his track position? No, I don't think it will. Enzo Jackie's just a bit too far away. He will obviously get closer, but he is not going to be close enough to take P7 away from Phaser. Ninky New, another one picking up the penalties, so they are coming now fast and furious, these penalties. So Ninky New with a half second. Again, another one not going to affect his track position. Hoppers in 10th. Molepiece, another one without the livery. Molepiece in 11th. Then we've got Captain Slow, another penalty. And then Bazza in 13th. Bazza really unlucky at the beginning of this race. Well, I think Bazza must be a lap down because yeah, he is. Bazza's already a lap down. So Captain Slow, 2.5 seconds. So back up to the top then. Scott still out in front. The Team Napa. Wayne G chasing him down as they go up the slight incline to Nicky Lauda curve. Oof, that lag is, I can't really watch that for very long. I do apologise, Scott, but it makes my eyes go funny. It's either, like I say, a loose wheel nut or lag, and I'm guessing it's lag. I have said it many occasions, it is not the driver's fault, it is internet, but it does make things difficult as Wayne G, Big Dan and Harry Poppins all go through turn 3. Harry Poppins in P4 at the minute has picked up a half-second penalty now. Aussie Rooster will have seen that, so he will be pushing hard now to try and get a little bit closer to Harry Poppins. I don't think he's going to be close enough to take P4 away from Harry Poppins at the minute, but it may get him a little bit closer. Beating 6th position at the minute. Baser still hanging in there in 7th, having a decent debut race for the Lucky Strike team. Some decent points on the board. And I do apologise to Team Lucky Strike. I really didn't put many points on the board myself last night. And if you do want to watch what happened to my disastrous night, then if you head over to Thingamajig Racing channel, where you will see all coverage of League One. In fact, while we're at it, I will find my bit of paper and I can tell you the other come on, here it is. So if you do want to have a look, see what's happening in the other leagues, so we've got Ian is covering the League of Champions, and he is URL Ultimate Racing League 7370. League 2 is covered by Paul. It's URL underscore Paul underscore E underscore 72. We'll go back up to our leader and see what's happening. League 1 is, as I've mentioned, covered by Thingamajig Racing Channel 6643. And League 3 is covered by Ruthless Rufus. So if you do fancy checking out what's happening throughout the rest of the leagues, then head over and have a look at their YouTube channels. As we see Scott just trying to keep a little bit of a gap between himself and Wayne G. Big Dan still sitting in 3rd, trying to apply the pressure to Wayne G. I'm sure Big Dan would love to get on the 2nd step of the podium, and he is just keeping the pressure on, isn't he? Oh, and Wayne G's picked up another penalty, so that's half a second. Now that will give Big Dan the encouragement he needed. All he's got to do is just stick with Wayne G until they get to the penalty zone. Obviously, if he can get a move done before then, even better, because he can get some distance between himself and Wayne G, but at the minute he just has to stick with him. Big Dan is having a look at the outside. No, he's gone to the inside. Wayne G shuts the door on that one as they go around turn 3. This is all about the exit. We saw Scott do it earlier, and it looks like Big Dan's got the better drive out of there as well. So Big Dan has got the move done and goes into P2 with Wayne G dropping behind him in 3rd. Wayne G still got that half-second penalty to serve. He will be looking in the mirror as well to see how close Harry Poppins is, and that is going to be very tight as Wayne G goes on the inside as we go around turn 5 up towards turn 6, which is launch. It is between Big Dan and Wayne G. You can see the bar start to fill up. Big Dan just managing to stay ahead of Wayne G. which is what he wanted, because he can start to put a little bit of distance between them when Wayne G serves that penalty. And there we go, penalty served. Now can Harry Poppins capitalise on Wayne G's misfortune? No, he can't. And that's got him right underneath the rear wing of Wayne G's car though. Let's jump on board with Harry Poppins as we're chasing Wayne G down. We can see Aussie Rooster in the distance, but he's not a threat at the minute. So Harry Poppins can concentrate fully on trying to get P3 away from Wayne G as they go through turn 1 and start up the hill towards turn 2 and then 3. Turn 3 being the one where everybody likes to make that little move up the inside. Harry Poppins not going to get close enough to that, but Wayne G, is he going to have a look? Maybe looking at the cutback on Big Dan. That's what he's tried, but Big Dan was wise to that and has shut the door on him. Harry Poppins has now got a lot closer to the back of Wayne G. Aussie Rooster still sitting there in 5th. Wayne having a quick look around the outside. Big Dan going defensive, taking the tighter line on the inside. Harry Poppins now getting right under the smelly end of Wayne G's car. Into turn 6 they go, trying to hug that inside apex, get the power down early through Worth curve, taking as much curb as you can as we go through turn 8, past the penalty zone towards turn 9. Wayne G having another bit of a look up the inside of Dan, and has Wayne G got it done under braking? He has. What a great move from Wayne G, but Big Dan fighting back as they go through turn 10, trying to avoid the penalties. Harry Poppins now, he's got the good drive and he's put in a challenge in against Big Dan. Big Dan got nowhere to go, he can just sit there behind Wayne G in the slipstream. Harry Poppins can have a look at the inside of Wayne G as well. Oh, and Wayne G slams the door shut. Harry Poppins moves up into 3rd. Big Dan has to drop down to 4th and sit behind Harry Poppins. What a fantastic move from Harry Poppins. I think he was lining that one up as he came out of turn 10. Up to turn 3 we go. Let's just have a look. Is Big Dan going to make the move? No, he can't. Aussie Rooster is now caught right up to the back of these guys. So Aussie Rooster now in 5th. Could well be challenging Big Dan for P4. What a fantastic battle these guys are having. Obviously Scott is being able to just drift away as Wayne G, Harry Poppins, Big Dan and Aussie Rooster all fight it out for a spot on the podium, and it could be any one of these 4 that take up the last 2 positions on that step. Big Dan right underneath Harry Poppins as we go around turn 7 through 8 and down towards turn 9. Now this is where mistakes can start to happen, penalties can be dished out when you're racing this tight and this fast. These guys, it's going to get difficult to keep the car within track limits, but they are all doing a fantastic job. Wayne G still in 2nd as we go to lap 15. Harry Poppins in 3rd at the minute. Big Dan though keeps on a look, getting himself in Harry Poppins' mirrors, trying to unnerve him, trying to force a mistake. Harry Poppins not having any of that at the minute though, is he? Big Dan right underneath Harry Poppins' car. Now is Harry Poppins going to go defensive as Big Dan tries to get himself on the inside? He has, he's got that car in there. Oh, as they turn in. Great racing from these guys, no contact whatsoever as Harry Poppins hangs on. Oh, he's picked up a penalty. He did go wide as Big Dan tried to go up the inside. Harry Poppins has picked up a half-second penalty. Now Big Dan is going to go up the inside of Harry Poppins. As Harry Poppins serves that penalty, Aussie Rooster should be able to step through the door and take that 4th position away from him. So that is unlucky for Harry Poppins. He was challenging for the 2nd podium spot and could find himself down in 5th now. Aussie Rooster can't believe his luck. Big Dan moves up into 3rd. So let's just have a look and see if Aussie Rooster will capitalise on Harry Poppins. Bad luck. There's the penalty serve. Brake lights come on, and Aussie Rooster steps through and says thank you very much. And now moves up into fourth and has got his sights set on Dan for the last lap. Harry Poppins though, he's going to want that fourth position back, isn't he? Well, what we're going to do is just have a quick run down and see where everybody else is doing. So Pete in 6, he's carrying a half-second penalty. Fazer still in 7. Started, where did he start? Where did Fazer start? 10th. So Fazer started 10th, moved up to 7th. We have had a couple of retirements though, but a good race from Fazer. Enzo Jack very unlucky early on. Could only really get himself back up to 8th. Maybe putting a challenge in on Fazer. I think he's just too far back. Ninky New in 9th. Malpiece 10th. Hoppers 11th. Captain Slow 12th. And Bazza, a very unlucky start to the race for Bazza. Go back up to the current race leader Scott on the final lap. Around turn 5 up towards Raunch for the last time. Scott wobbling his way around down towards turn 7. Let's just see what's happening. Wayne G in 2nd, Big Dan 3rd, Aussie Rooster 4th, and Harry Poppins 5th. And what a fantastic battle these guys are having. We're going to go back up to Scott though as he heads down towards turn 9 for the last time in this first race. Where you really do need to avoid the penalties, because a half second does equate to 1 second after the race is finished. So Scott across the line, fantastic win for him. Wayne G, what a battle he's had to take 2nd, Big Dan 3rd, Aussie Rooster 4th, Harry Poppins will come in 5th, Pete across the line in 6th. Then there's a bit of a gap then back to Fazer. Looks like Fazer went a bit wide there. Oh, and he did. He's picked up a penalty, but Fazer crosses the line in 7th. Enzo Jack is 8th. Ninky New is going to come over the line and bring it home in 9th. Malpiece, Hoppers and Captain Slow are going to fight it out, but I think they are going to be their finishing positions in 10, 11 and 12. Captain Slow in 12th, and then Bazza finishes a lap behind after his disconnect in I think it was lap 1. Really unlucky for Bazza. Hopefully he's got all the technical issues sorted out though, and he will be back for race 2, and very hungry. We'll be starting on pole position I believe as well. So there is something to be taken from it, as we just see Captain Slow coming across the line now to finish race 1 in 12th position. So hopefully you can join me all again soon for race 2.